All right, let's see if we can get this working properly. And I've got the box, which is insanely tall, so stay tuned for that. Okay, good. YouTube is receiving my data, and I'll be able to see all of your stupid messages in just a second. Cool, it is now working. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Taylors of Tech Live on YouTube today. We usually do live streams over on Twitch, but for this one, figured might as well do it on YouTube since that's where we do most of the live unboxings anyhow. I know a lot of people aren't interested in the OnePlus 8 in particular, but you know what? I feel like the 8 Pro was getting all of the light and everyone was kind of throwing the OnePlus 8 under the table. Plus, Mint Mobile, not a sponsor, sent me this for free. Didn't ask me to even talk about them, but I just wanted to unbox it anyway because I get to keep this thing. I don't have to send it back, okay? So I didn't buy it, so if you're thinking, Drew, you wasted your money, why not get the 8 Pro? Don't worry about it. No money was spent on my end. Also, I thought about getting the 8 Pro and comparing it, so I was actually looking for it this morning. Out of stock. Pretty much everywhere. It is essentially out of stock every location I look to find it. Any place that does have it in stock is like selling it at an extreme upcharge, and I don't want to do that. So thank you everyone for joining. We'll be starting here in a second. We just want to let everybody get in. But can we just admire this packaging for a second? Look at this. This is so long. Why is this so tall? Why did they make it stretched out so much? I mean, all that's in here is the phone and the charger. Keep in mind, as we watched the OnePlus 8 unveil event, this thing was like, they sold it as the compact phone. This was the small, just a 6.5-inch compact phone, much smaller than the 6.7-inch 8 Pro. So yeah, the specs on this thing are decent. I guess we can just get started here in a second. But yeah, it's right. Like, this does not fit with my iPhone collection over the years. Here, look. This is like... back this thing out of here. This is like your average iPhone typical box. This is an 8 Plus next to OnePlus 8. Oh, I just realized how... I just realized how those things coincide with each other. 8 Plus, OnePlus 8. The answer is 9. But they're both red, by the way. This was unintentionally went together really well. Anyway, Sky, thank you for the $10 super chat. Just want to say hi. Thank you for stopping by. If you're not interested in this stream, I get it. But we can talk about other stuff after the unboxing or while I'm setting it up later. So this is just, your monthly occasional YouTube stream. Don't do them that often if you want more live questions or you feel like your questions in the chat are getting ignored. Please check me out on Twitch. I'll be doing a gaming stream over there later today, and we try to do tech Twitch streams 3 times a week. So Taylors of Tech, Taylors of Gaming, they're over on Twitch. Check it out. But yeah, this box is weird, particularly given I'm pretty sure this is the green one. So that makes it even more bizarre that they wanted the outside of the box to be bright red and as tall as a giant TV remote. So this is not going to fit on my wall very well. Anyway, now that we've got a few people in here, let's get started. So, plastic tab at the top for opening. Ooh, you get to hear all the plastic. Oh man, that peeled right off. Look at that. Luckily, it's recyclable, which is good. The curved display is what pulls me away. Yeah, that's not what I'm excited for. That is a very red box. If only the phone was this color, I would have preferred that. Okay. Let's take it off. This box is thinner than the Xperia One. Oh, look, a second 8. Donk. Whoa. That's all paperwork? Holy crap. They have a giant pamphlet thing. Why is this phone so tall? Whoa. Okay, there it is on the inside. That's cool. Warp charge. I actually get to use warp charge this time. There's the phone on the inside. We pull it from the side. Ooh, okay. That's got some weight to it. It is definitely the glacier green. You know what? It's kind of bluish. It's actually got more of a bluish tint. Okay. Let me see if I can peel this off correctly. Usually don't. Whoa. Is that it? Whoa. Okay. I like that the bezels are black, luckily. And I'm really excited to use it with a 90 hertz display. Ooh, okay. I like this. The glass on the back is frosted like the 11 Pro Max. I don't like the glossy back, so I already prefer this back to the S20 Ultra. It's red because of the brand color. Then why don't they make a red phone? Peel that sticker off. I guess it does collect fingerprints a little bit. Can you see those? I don't know if they're showing up. but they fade away pretty quickly, which is good, I guess. Also, I feel like the logo is a bit redundant here. You don't need your OnePlus and your OnePlus at the bottom. Like, it should be iconic enough we just know what that is, right? Like, you don't have the Apple logo and then at the bottom, Apple. That wouldn't make sense. They used to have iPhone text, but they got rid of that. I'm kind of glad they got rid of that. And because I get to keep this phone, and I don't have to send it back, I'm actually going to check out the Warp charger. Wow. So this comes with the 30-watt USB-C charge brick. What are these little brackets on this? Oh, that's weird. Oh, did I just break it? These little brackets come with it, but they're incredibly fragile. Look at that. They just snapped in half. Okay. Other side, I assume, does something similar. I don't want to break it, though. Oof. Polar silver is the best color. I haven't seen that one. The 8 Pros are out of stock. Trust me, I tried. I tried looking around to see if I could buy one and we could do a comparison video, but they're out of stock on OnePlus's site, so all you can do is have you get notified. Oh, that's weird. It's a 30-watt warp charger, but it's still USB-A on one side? Come on. That kind of sucks. Come on. I would have been fine with USB-C to USB-C. Dang it. Isn't OnePlus kind of sticky with what chargers get used with their phone? Here's the charge brick here. Big boy. But it's still USB-A. That's interesting. Huh. Okay. Well, the little inside plastic of the USB-A port is red, which is kind of funny. They pay that attention to detail, but not USB-C to USB-C. I'm surprised they don't want to do that. Is there adapters in here or something? Nothing else in the box. I think that's about it, other than the paperwork. Paperwork probably has a SIM eject tool. Like, if you're gonna adopt USB-C, just go all in. Go for it. Just go all in on USB-C. Okay, and I think I can already see a screen protector is applied by default, which I guess is fine. They want to be extra secure about it. So the SIM eject. Whoa, they put the microphone like in the antenna band right there. That's kind of interesting. Whoa. So warp charge needs USB-A. That's interesting. Oop, I got the little taptic feedback as we're booting up here. That's an interesting color. But I'm curious why they called it glacier. I guess glaciers aren't inherently green, right? I don't know what it appears like to you guys, but doesn't this look kind of blue to you? This kind of has a bluish, greenish... It's a weird combo of colors here. Oh, hi there. We're setting up. Okay, let me switch to this camera here. And I want to see if I notice the 90 hertz. Ooh, I noticed the 90 hertz immediately. And how come the camera hole always looks bigger in reality than it does in the marketing images? They shrink that thing so far down and for all the pictures, and then once you see it in real life, you're like, hey, that's not quite there. We can skip the mobile network for now. Looks light blue on camera at least. Turquoise, maybe that's the correct number. Looks like a mix of blue and green. Okay, so it's not just me. It appears... I'm looking at it on the screen that you guys are watching me on and comparing it to how it looks in reality. It's pretty close. That's pretty much exactly how it looks, especially at different angles. Look at that. If you look at it from the side angle, that thing is straight up blue. There's no green about that. I'm okay with that, though. I think a blue phone would have looked cooler. Okay, let me just sign into the network here. Ooh, that's got decent keyboard taptics to it. I like that. That feels nice. Also, this size. Let me see how I feel about this size in the hand. Okay, it's definitely narrow. This is a tall phone. Just looking at it up and down. Where's my iPhone? Is that in my pocket? Where did I put it? I got phones for days over here. I don't even know where they ended up. Is it back on my desk? Maybe I was robbed just a second ago or something. I don't know where it is. It's in the other room probably or something like that. But it's noticeably taller than my 11 Pro Max. And this is what I'm not a fan of because it's kind of hard to reach the display way up tall when it's that high. So it's like, yeah, it's a 6.5-inch display, but much higher aspect ratio. So in a way, it feels like you have, less width that you're working with compared to an 11 Pro Max. Oh yeah, I can ping it with the watch. Why didn't I think of that? Am I sitting on it? I hear it. It's in the room. Hold up. I'm sitting on it. Oh my god. That's embarrassing. Okay. Swipe up to go home. There you have the two. It is so much taller. Holy crap. Okay, maybe not that much. The chin's fairly thin, but okay, that's as close as I can get them. But 11 Pro Max feels wider, that's for sure. And yeah, we got a little bit of a curved display here. Not a huge fan of that, but that's okay. It's light though. I'm shocked at how light this is. Maybe it's because that aluminum helps. It's a lot lighter than stainless steel. Okay, I'm just going to sign into my Google account here. Keyboard is snappy. I love the 90 hertz. And yeah, guys, I know. I want to try the 8 Pro too, but they're sold out. I don't know where to pick them up. I was thinking it would be fun to do it side by side, but I can't find any. Other than getting them like on contract from Verizon, I don't want to do that. I'm signing in real quick. The wider the better. Well, to a certain extent. You don't want a 4:3 aspect ratio. Oh yeah, got two-factor authentication. Make sure that's the right code. Okay. I looked on Amazon, and they were charging. I couldn't find the 8 Pro. Like, tag me on Twitter. Don't post it in the comments because that's going to get lost, or post it in the chat. But if you find an 8 Pro for retail price available online, tag me on Twitter. I'll try to get it. Why no Interstellar Glow? So I guess I should provide some of the background between why I got this phone. For example, I didn't really get this phone. This was sent to me by Mint Mobile, which, again, not a sponsor. They didn't expect me to talk about it. They didn't want me to talk about them. They just, as a gift, because I recommended them, they wanted to thank me, and they've sent me the iPhone SE, which my wife now uses, and this. So they're not expecting anything to go along with it. I'm just bringing that up so you guys know the background with it. Which does mean I get to actually test an Android phone for a more extensive period of time. I don't know if that means I should keep my SIM in it for, a month or something, but at least I get to like experience Android updates. I don't just review this phone for a few weeks. But it has a whole lot of similarities with the last OnePlus phone I used, which I really liked actually. The 7 Pro was solid. I don't think it was my favorite Android phone, but I'm trying to set up the fingerprint reader here. This is weird. It's like lighting up because it's got to light up my fingerprint, which psoriasis has gone away, so hopefully fingerprint reader should work more reliably now. But I'm actually fine with the camera hole cutout versus the pop-up camera. That's probably the biggest difference between the 7 Pro and the 8. But I always thought that pop-up camera was kind of gimmicky. It always felt kind of weird. And I never thought the camera punch hole was that distracting in the first place. I never noticed it. Get a reminder to finish late. Yeah, let's just leave. I get Google One included. Okay, thanks, Google. They're adding the finishing touches. Oh, now they're asking what kind of font I want to use. Soon to be Mint Mobile sheep. Yeah, they're swaying me. I mean, the important thing is they wanted to do a channel sponsor where like tell you guys to check out Mint Mobile all the time, but I was like, I don't want to sign any contracts. I don't want a sponsorship or anything. But if you guys want to send free stuff, I'm fine with that. Just don't expect me to, say anything or have some type of brand deal with you guys. And they were like, okay, that's fine. So as long as I can say whatever I want, basically, because Mint Mobile's been working fine for me so far, but if something goes bad, I want to be able to complain about it. So that's why I don't want to sign up with any type of, like, must say good thing, must say this about Mint. So I just want complete control over whatever I say, and if they're happy that I'm happy that they're willing to send stuff, then great, cool, I'll test it out. So now they're asking navigational bar versus gestures, and I think we're going to go gestures, so it's more iPhone-like. Master a full screen gesture in 3 steps. Yeah, we know how it works. It's fine. Oh, they're going to walk me through it to swipe back. Okay, well done. Swipe up to go home. Where did that come from? How did they think of such a thing? And swipe up and hold to activate multitasking. Genius. These are such good gestures. Who could have thought of such a thing? Use the Apple Watch. Is OnePlus going to send the next Samsung with spec? I don't know. They have not told me. Oh, it's making noises. Okay, we're booted up. That's what it looks like by default. Pretty slick wallpaper. I'm digging the 90 hertz. But you know what? Oh God, please don't bombard me with the notifications. I'm noticing what Marquez talked about. Like, can you see the difference between 90 hertz and 120 hertz? The last Android phone I reviewed, I believe, was the S20 Ultra, which had 120 hertz. And I'm thinking I do notice it just a tad, but it's noticeably better. Like if we could get 90 hertz on the next iPhone, I would be happier than 60. 120 obviously is ideal, but um, this is nice. I miss this motion. Okay. Can they stop with the noises, please? Finish setting up. Finish setting up. Finish setting up. I'm glad though. Like I kind of have wanted to have an Android, not as a daily driver, but just an Android accessible if I want to try an Android version of an app or try some Android feature that launched recently or look at software updates over time. But I haven't had an Android that I could just have and keep. I had the Pixels for a while, but I got rid of those because they sucked. And I had no respect for the Pixel. But I have a bit more respect for OnePlus, and I like the phones they make generally. This is 5G compatible, not that it matters. Do you think high refresh is a gimmick? Well, clearly you haven't watched my videos in the past. But yeah, no, really, for the average consumer, pretty gimmicky. But if you're making a pro phone, if you're making a phone that's $1,000 plus, I don't really see it much of a gimmick. I see it more of a standard that the industry is adopting to. And if you don't adopt to it now, you're kind of getting left in the dust. So I don't see it as a gimmick for pro iPhones or pro models of phones that are in the 900 plus category. Phones like this that are in the $800 or less, not so much. I don't think the average consumer cares about refresh rate, but that's why I'm so adamant that the 12 Pro should have 120 hertz. Otherwise, it's way too similar to the regular iPhone 12s. And the Pro iPhones are already not selling great in comparison to the regular iPhone 11. And now with the regular iPhone 12 and 12 Max getting all these great OLED displays and 5G support and A14 chip, they're getting all these great features. There's going to be even less reason to get the Pro iPhones, which is why I feel like they need 120 hertz. Discord on Android is not my favorite. I'm going to have to download that. I love the UI, though. Everything is very snappy between opening and closing and swiping up for multitasking and that kind of thing. OnePlus has really, really nailed the animations when it comes to speed. Almost too fast. I bet average consumers might find it a little jarring how quickly everything opens and closes. Let me download Discord because I'm going to use that a lot. We know that. Let's see. If Apple brings MagSafe to iPhones, will other companies copy? I don't think so. No, I don't think the MagSafe to iPhone thing is true. I don't buy that. Do you think the iPhone 12 will have reverse charging? I don't think so. I don't think it needs it. I think Apple could have added it with the 11 and 11 Pro, but they realized how stupid it was and decided to can it. Let's see. You should try the new Sony Xperia phone. You might change your mind on 4K displays. I guarantee you I will not. 4K on a phone is stupid, and I wish I could turn down the resolution on my 11 Pro Max. Even though this isn't 1440p, it's just more than it needs to be, you know? I've used a 10R exclusively for like 2 months, and then gone back to an OLED pentile display, and didn't care. Pixel density was barely noticeable. Didn't care. But okay, we got it set it up. I know they've made some camera changes here. Allow camera to use the location, sure. So we've got, this is warping on the camera lens itself. Ultra wide, okay, ultra wide looks a bit softer. Telephoto, telephoto zooms in a lot. And it's very stable. You can zoom in at 10x. Dang. Okay, sorry you can't see it. Maybe I can show you with this thing. Let's see. Can you see it without reflecting too much? Ultra wide says 0.6x, so that zooms out quite a bit. Look how much it's capturing. And then telephoto's like zoom, going even further. Pretty stable too. I'm not a stable guy. I mean, my hands are shaking like crazy, but it's able to counteract that pretty well. Got nightscape. Should take a picture, see if it looks different. Photo. Let's try that. Let's see how the detail looks. Sorry, let me switch cameras here. Which would suck battery quicker display? 1080p with 120 hertz or 1440p with 60 hertz? I believe 120 hertz is more power hungry. Rough Riders Show, thank you for the super chat. iPhone 12 Pro all the way. Absolutely, I will. As soon as 12s and 12 Pro comes out, I'll get one of each. I won't get all four of the new iPhones, but I'll probably get the 5.4 inch model and the 6.7 inch model. That way I have huge juxtaposition of like smallest phone, biggest phone, and I can compare the two. We'll get there. OnePlus phones are the few Android phones that have physical mute switches like the iPhones. Yeah, it is kind of different though. It's like 3 different modes. It has vibrate, silent, and ring. And I don't know how I feel about that. I guess it's okay. I like the taptic feedback the vibrate gives. But I kind of prefer having the switch that you can go, how do I say it, this way instead of this way. Because the OnePlus silent switch goes up and down, whereas the iPhone mute switch goes like towards you and away from you, if that makes sense. And I guess I prefer that. I also prefer it being near the volume compared to the power button because you're reaching for the power button to turn it off or Apple Pay or different multifunctional buttons. This is a rich photo. I'm zooming in on it now. I mean, colors I'll have to experiment more with later, but the detail out of it is pretty impressive. Well, this is cool. Yeah, the wallpaper changes as you swipe between. I'm an iOS guy, so this Android stuff's built in by default is different. I really like the 120 hertz on the iPad at least. I do too. I love it on the iPad. iPad's my favorite display. iPad Pro is my favorite Apple product of all time at this point. Do you feel OnePlus is better than Samsung? That's a tough question. I mean, I wish, so many of you guys had talked about, I wish I could compare these two with the 8 Pro, because I feel like the 8 Pro did a bunch of stuff that I didn't like about the OnePlus 7 Pro. What's kind of interesting is I'm just noticing Netflix is installed by default, even though I don't have that on, I don't even subscribe to Netflix. It's just building that in. I also saw an update today that Fortnite now supports 90 FPS on the OnePlus 8 phones, which is kind of cool. I think the OnePlus 8 Pro might be a better deal than the S20. Yeah, it's definitely more expensive for a OnePlus phone. Obviously, OnePlus is accustomed to making much cheaper phones, but at the same time, if you compare the specs that the 8 Pro offers versus what the S20 offers, I feel like the 8 Pro is probably better. But I wish it wasn't sold out. I'd like to try one out. Maybe Mint will send me one of those later, but this is still cool too. For $800, this has solid specs in it. I mean, the Snapdragon 865 is pretty dang fast. It's catching up with Apple. They're getting pretty close with the speed tests. Difference being, though, I don't think the 865 will get as many software updates as the A13 chip, but still, very fast if it can handle those higher frame rates. I also saw a comparison with the refresh rates on OnePlus phones, and they apparently had a much better battery life than other phones with their high refresh rate displays. So that's cool. The warp charge being included on an $800 phone is nice. Stereo speakers is good. This one is basically OnePlus modernizing the 7 Pro because I'm glad they went back on the pop-up camera because I thought that was really weird and janky. It felt bizarre to have the camera popping up every time you wanted to do face unlock or front-facing camera and that kind of thing. So use the infrared camera on it. Well, you guys just want to see me without my shirt on. No, you're more excited about Fortnite than Netflix. Well, what's there to do on I don't watch Netflix on my phone. I have a TV for that. I'm not an animal. I work for a major network, and we've seen Samsung fall off a cliff in the premium range. OnePlus has completely taken over for the people who are still on Android, but it's 70% Apple. Yeah, I think that's generally well known that Apple dominates the premium space. Samsung ships massively in the budget department, and typically overseas they do a lot better than the U.S. Does it support 120 hertz in Fortnite at high settings, though? Well, this is capped out at 90 hertz, not 120, which is still noticeable. I'll bring that up. The fact that 90 hertz, I do notice a difference with, because I'm used to 60 on my iPhone, and now scrolling around, it's so pleasing to the eye. I don't know if it's quite as fast. I think I can noticeably tell that it's not as fast as the S20 Ultra was, and that one was 120 hertz, but that phone was almost twice the price of this one. No joke. This phone's $800, and the S20 Ultra $1,400. That's insane. And for all the stuff you're getting with this, pretty dang close. I mean, darn, you can't shoot in 8K, but Still think there's another iPad Pro coming out later this year? I don't think so. Most of the leakers and reports I've seen are saying that there isn't a new iPad Pro coming this year and that there's a new iPad that also follows in line with the leaks I was suggesting. I thought people were getting A14X chip and 5G iPad confused with the mini LED iPad, and now it sounds like that's what's happening. Is iPad Pro $700? I said, not 800. Sorry. $700, so it is half the price. How do you like Apple TV Plus free year? I've seen almost everything mature on the device. Yeah, I've not been watching many TV Plus shows, I'll be honest. Do you feel OnePlus 7 Pro's camera was better than this? This doesn't have a telephoto lens. It doesn't? No! Oh well. It's interesting that they still act like it has a 2x though, which I find funny. It's a simulated 2x lens. Slow motion, panorama, time lapse. Is this the phone that has the weird macro lens? Is that what it is? No, I don't get iOS 14 early. I'm not that special. Notice your skin thing is gone, and I realized that you used to make YouTube videos looking unusual. I mean, your vids are great for doing that. I would feel insecure. Love your vids. Watch Taylosive Talks. That's where we go over why my notch has been removed on my forehead thanks to medication. We watched on Apple TV. What did we watch on Apple TV Plus? I want to try this unlock mechanism here. We watched The Servant, and that sucked. And we tried to watch the morning show, and that was really boring. Okay, I'm trying to do the fingerprint unlock thing here. Does it need a light of some kind to be on before it? Yeah. See, this is the type of fingerprint reader that needs to light up first, right? You can't just hold it there. Is that why it's not ultrasonic? Okay. Yeah, I think that's... If you need to tap it and then hold the fingerprint because the light needs to light it up. How do you try the X-ray camera? I'm not seeing that mode. Sorry, I haven't watched a lot of these before. There's Nightscape, which I believe is just night mode. What's this filter? Oh, macro shot. This is weird. Why is macro so blurry? Is this lens all smeared? Let's see. Is there tap to wake on the OnePlus? I think so. Super macro. Yeah, it is bizarre. It's very low quality too. It's very pixelated, but I guess you can focus on things really up close. Maybe I gotta take a picture. Will it look better? I like the look of my watch. That's why I'm trying it out. Yeah, okay. It's pretty sharp. Not great, but that is weird. If that was more ironed out, it could be done. It could be a lot better. We got filters, settings. Oh yeah, can this do 4K at 60? Yes, it can. 30 seconds of video will use 500 megabytes. Dang. And they have a Cine mode for 4K at 60. That's interesting. I had to try this out. Ooh, yeah, that looks smooth. I can see the refresh rate of the TV in front of me. 2 megapixel camera. Oh, the X-ray mode is through the color filters. Okay. Oh, that's perfect. I think I have a Apple TV right off camera. Where's the filters? I lost them. Black and white, vivid, matte, none. No, I don't think it's a filter. We gotta find the settings for this stuff. Too many settings. Smart content detection? What? Custom modes. Wait, there's a shot on OnePlus watermark? A watermark will be applied to photos taken by the rear camera? Why is that a thing? At least they leave it off by default. Do people want that? Oh, gotcha. Okay. The X-ray thing is only on the 8 Pro. Got it. Understood. How fast is slow-mo? It doesn't tell me. Aspect ratio 4:3, video resolution. Oh, slow motion is 480 FPS. 1080 at 240. Wow. Okay, that's pretty fast. It's not the crazy Samsung days, but it's funny how like iOS they've made the camera app over the years. Are you swiping between all this stuff? Let me try a portrait mode shot. That works on the front-facing camera too, right? Oh my god, you've been looking at this all day? I just saw my face and I'm disgusted. Ugh. Not too impressed with the color filters in the punch hole, sticking to my OnePlus 7T for at least another year. No, I wouldn't upgrade from the 7T either. That's kind of the sucky thing about OnePlus is they do so many incremental upgrades. Just kind of takes away the excitement. So slow mode is 720p at 480 FPS. They don't go to 960, which I'm okay with because 960 is so dang slow. It's kind of hard to justify it in any possible way. Swipe to see all the modes on the camera. I'm pretty sure I can see all of them. I'll try a portrait mode shot. See how that looks. Oh, that's sharp. Wow. That's pretty crisp. Doesn't have my depth effects. Or does it? Exposure, warmth, highlights. No. How do I adjust my bokeh? I don't want to bokeh my child here. The masking and stuff is pretty good, though. I know you guys can't probably see it that well, but it's fairly sharp. Does this help? Can I do this? It's a sharp display. For $700 too. Not bad. Not bad at all. I don't use Linux. I don't have any thoughts on it. What if they could use the 3D touch in a specific area on a future iPhone to make it feel like there's a home button with Touch ID under the display when you unlock it? I think Face ID is better. Even if Touch ID was built into the iPhone, I would still use Face ID. It's faster and you don't have to touch and hold the phone in a specific way. That's what I'm not crazy about with these phones. To unlock them, I mean, they do have tap to, always on display or whatever this is called. I guess it's kind of a lock screen. But you have to tap and then hold it in a specific way, whereas the iPhone, you're pretty much always going to be looking. I didn't even have to touch the screen to unlock it. I literally just hold it up, unlocks, and then I swipe up to go home, but I can see my notifications and stuff. I feel like there still should be an option that jumps you to the home screen as soon as you unlock. I don't think I would turn on that feature, but I agree that people who want that option should have it. You can adjust the blur in Google Photos. Oh, that's weird. Not the camera app, though? Interesting. I think a phone should have more than one biometric. iPhone is struggling with the masks these days. I don't think you're trying very hard with the pandemic if you're wearing a mask and not wearing gloves, where we spread all of our germs with our hands anyway. So if you're not wearing gloves but you are wearing a mask, it's like you're only fighting half the... I love Face ID. Face ID works great. I love it on the iPad, love it on the iPhone. I would much rather have one solid biometric compared to two okay biometrics. And I haven't used a competitor's phone that had a great biometric because it feels like you have to muscle memory where to put the thumb in order to get it right. Whereas you look at your phone, boom, Face ID unlocks. You have to look at it. iOS doesn't give options, Androids do. Worse options, yes. Androids have worse options, but there are more of them. So I think the reason people choose iOS is not because they get more options over there. It's because they get better options. 5 great options are better than 10 okay options. Let's see. How about 2 great biometrics? That would be nice, but not necessary because I'm only going to use Face ID. Do you currently own any Android device except this one for the unboxing? So, no, this is my only Android device I own. I guess Wyatt gave me his old Galaxy Note 5, but that thing's broken on the front and back. That's in a closet. I don't use it. It's very old. But this, I get to keep. I'm going to hang on to it. We could maybe do some long-term reviews with it. If my wife wants to switch to it, she can. So we can do a bit more longevity with the OnePlus 8, I guess, because thanks to Mint, they sent it out. And installation complete, restart. Oh, there's software updates out of the box. I'm kind of tempted to take the screen protector off just because I don't like the look it gives. But at the same time, protection, right? Let's see. Your take on pop-up versus punch hole. I prefer the punch hole, honestly. The pop-up thing is weird, especially with cases. And if you're accustomed to using Face Unlock, having the camera thing pop up and go down every single time. I know there hasn't been many durability issues with it. I just think it's weird for a phone to have moving parts. It just makes me lose faith in it. Makes me feel like it's more fragile. Even if it isn't, it's just a weird sensation to have part of the phone going. It just makes me feel off. I don't mind the notch. Obviously, it would be nice if there was no notch. I agree, but it's not the end of the world to have one. And at the same time, I also feel like when we eventually get rid of the notch or shrink the notch, we're not going to notice it because that's the part of the phone we look at the least. So if Apple miraculously, through innovation and transparent displays, was able to make a way for the notch to disappear, you would still use your phone exactly the same way. And I don't think you would really notice much of a difference. On day one, you would be like, hey, there's no notch. And then that'd be over. You'd be done. You prefer the Pixel 3 XL notch? Get out of here. Get out. Were you able to choose the color? No, I didn't get to choose anything. They literally just asked me, do you want an iPhone SE and a OnePlus 8? No questions asked. Like, no contract. You don't have to make a video on it. It's like, do you want them? And I said, sure. That's as far as it got. Let's see. For me, I find Android more interesting, but I still choose iOS because of macOS and iPadOS and how well they work with iPhone. I just wish Android could connect better with the other OS. Same here. I mean, there's a lot of... I don't hate Android. There's a lot of great things Android offers, especially with customizations. There's endless things you can do. But what I've noticed is that most people that do customizations don't change their lock screen, don't change their home screen, don't change their anything that often. They customize it once when they get the phone, and then it stays the same basically for like 6 months to a year. Customization is a reactionary short-term thing. You're like, hey, this is kind of cool, and then afterwards you just kind of, it's your phone, and you just use it for whatever you use it for, social media, watching videos, listening to music, and it just becomes your phone. So the phone that I think masters optimization matters a lot more than the phone that prioritizes customization, because optimization is something you notice and appreciate more on a daily basis, whereas customization is kind of fun and nifty in the moment, and then you don't really care about it later. Do you think the 8 is a better deal than the 8 Pro? That's a good question. Let's analyze what you get here for a second. So this one starts at $700. That's really competitive. This is the same price as the iPhone 11. 90 hertz display. Pretty edge to edge, might I add. This has a really... Oh, they want me to enter the pin here because I just rebooted it. Let me open Chrome or something so you can see the full. That's a pretty edge to edge display. And I guess a lot of, we look at our displays a lot, so prioritizing the screen matters. It's very pixel dense. It's very rich. You can see all kinds of detail out of it. Open the Play Store. There you go. That's a better idea. 6.5 inches. This is more than enough display, I think, for most people. If anything, it's probably just a smidge too tall. If I could do anything, I would rather it shrink down and be a little bit, stonkier. What's the word? Shorter. I want more stonk phone. Stereo speakers, warp charge is great. 128 gigs built in by default. Now, what do you get with the 8 Pro? 120 hertz, which a few people can notice, but I don't think most. A bigger battery, bigger display, and I already think this display is pretty huge. So, an extra $200 for... I know there's camera differences. So you get the X-ray camera, which I think is gimmicky. It's cool that you can see through certain infrared things with that camera, but yeah, I really wish I could get my hands on one and do a side-by. But at the end of the day, I think that the computational side of things impacts the camera performance more than anything, which makes me feel like the OnePlus 8 and 8 Pro probably have very similar performing photos and videos at the end of the day, because it's the same software company. You do get wireless charging. That would probably be my biggest selling point. If there was a way I could trade this in for an 8 Pro, I totally would, just for wireless charging alone, because it does kind of suck, in my opinion, that this $700 phone in 2020 still does not have an IP rating and wireless charging, which the 8 Pro does. But at the same time, extra $200. That's quite a bit. That's quite a bit. If I had to use an Android, yeah, I would probably opt for the $900 8 Pro. I don't need the higher storage configuration. I don't need the extra RAM. I think the RAM thing is getting out of control in the Android department, but that mostly comes from Android RAM management at the end of the day. You get a newer Sony sensor, but that's what I mean, though. At the end of the day, I think the software side of things impacts photos and videos more so than the camera sensors themselves. Maybe at a very down to detail nitty gritty level, yes, the OnePlus 8 Pro has a better, noise reduction of some kind at the end of the day, but still, the phone camera, it's still a phone camera, right? It's still something that, okay, you don't care about this situation enough to use a DSLR or a professional camera, so you're using a smartphone camera. It will get the job done for those use cases. I feel like all flagship modern day smartphones have very decent cameras for everything people need these days, and there's a smaller and smaller difference year after year. So I don't think the camera is a great reason to go with the 8 Pro over the 8, in my opinion. The Pro is good. I don't disagree with that, but my biggest motivation would be the IP rating and the wireless charging, because those are kind of important to me. I'm used to having them. I've had them since 2016 on my iPhone 7, and the fact that this doesn't have that in 2020 feels like a pretty big step backwards. iPhone 7 didn't have wireless charging, but it did have an IP rating. And then I'm used to having wireless charging since 2018. I love wireless charging with the Pixel stand of all things, but if you do care about fast charging, OnePlus is definitely the company to go with, because man, do they push the limits of what a battery can do. But it's worth mentioning, OnePlus fans, if you're into OnePlus, you gotta have to accept that phones might not age super well. If you're fast charging all the time, that's going to damage the battery long term. In my experience, damages it more than wireless charging, because I exclusively wireless charged my XS Max for an entire year and the battery health was unchanged. Whereas with my 11 Pro Max, I started fast charging it occasionally and the battery health is already gone down. It hasn't even been a year yet. So I do think that fast charging impacts longevity for the battery more so than wireless charging does. And also, software updates are not going to be as long as an iPhone. Resale value is not going to be as great. But if you're in the mindset of upgrading your phone once a year or once every 2 years, then this will be fine. I think this will get the job done. This will age in the short term fairly well. In the next 2 to 3 years, it'll be fine. But if you're looking for something to buy and hang on to for 5 to 6 years, that's when an iPhone, even with its worse display, not as low bezel count, not as pixel rich, not as 90 hertz buttery smooth, would still be the better purchase for software support in the long run. Because at the end of the day, refresh rate, it does start to blend into the background. And you do start to just use it as your phone, and that's the only way you think about it. Minecraft, check it out. What Android phone do you find most seamless? Well, I haven't used it, but I'd love to try out the 8 Pro. After using the S20 Ultra, I would not recommend that, just because of all the things it offers are not worth $1,400 over the S20 Plus and S20. If you're more into Samsung, I think the S20s would be more solid, but OnePlus 8 Pro feels like the complete package. I just can't get my hands on one yet. Let's see. 12 Pro might not come with 120 hertz since this year's iPhones won't come with LTPO display. Thoughts on that? That I've done a whole video explaining. It's not confirmed, guys. There's a couple of leakers that don't have great track records that say, yes, it's happening. That doesn't mean it's confirmed. So that's why I did that whole video, is because I'm worried that the new 12 Pro won't have 120 hertz. But it sounds like they want it to. Like, it has the hardware for it, but they're having issues with the software, and the battery performance is what's bothering them, and some of the colors at 120 hertz. So that makes me feel like it might not do 120 hertz, in which case I will be very disappointed. I'll be very sad that we have to wait another year for the iPhone to get ProMotion. I'm still going to get it. It's not like I'm going to ditch the iPhone, or I'm not going to get the iPhone 12 just because it doesn't have it. But still, that's my number one requested feature for this year, and it will be my number one requested feature for next year if they don't do it. I would even be happy with 90 hertz, but I am hearing that they don't want to do that. They want to do 120 or nothing. iPhone 12 Pro without 120 hertz and without USB-C, what exactly makes that iPhone Pro? Exactly, Scott. Thank you. What makes the 12 Pro a Pro iPhone if it has 60 hertz and what the telephoto lens and LiDAR? That makes it Pro worthy, even though it'll still have Lightning, because we know they're not adopting USB-C this year. Of all the Android flagships, OnePlus 8 Pro deserves the flagship pricing because they can last longer than 2 years software-wise, unlike Samsung. Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think just for the best bang for your buck, I mean, Android has its own set of compromises compared to iOS, but if you're going to go with an Android, it should be because of the amazing hardware you get for the price, and the OnePlus 8 Pro, I think, is a solid example of that. Like, the hardware you get with that phone is amazing for being $100 cheaper than an 11 Pro. That's pretty amazing. I'm not into phone cases, so I don't care about the Rebel case. How's Mint Mobile service? They've been great. they've been great. I love how cheap it is. I love that you can get it for like $15 a month, and for the past 3 months, it's been unlimited data. Because of the pandemic, they've just let all of their users have unlimited data, which I think is awesome. So no complaints so far. If something comes up, I will bring it up. I do think their app needs some work, though. They need a dark mode, and they need an iOS widget for data tracking. I think that would be more helpful. Is Louise using wireless charging with her SE? Does she care about it? I don't think she does. No, she just handed back. I gave her one of my Pixel stands. I was like, here, while you're at work, you can wirelessly charge your SE. And she was like, I don't care. And she gave me back. I think she likes the stand for holding her phone, but her phone's been at like 100% all day, every day, so she doesn't want to charge it that way. So she just charges it at the end of the day with Lightning. So yeah, that's it. Yes, Mint Mobile supports hotspots. So yeah, you can connect other devices to your phone with Mint Mobile. Will Louise change her SE before it falls apart? Well, if other companies keep sending us free stuff, maybe. I think she wants to keep the SE for as long as she can, though. Do you get anything? Do you do anything to get them for free? I just recommended them. They didn't reach out to me or anything. A friend of mine was using Mint, and they said, hey, this is really cheap, and the service seems to be really good. You should try it. We were spending all this money on Verizon, so I was like, let me try Mint. I switched to it, and I thought the coverage or something was going to suck, and I was like, let me just try out Mint and see how I feel. But the coverage was fine. The coverage worked great, and it was significantly cheaper than Verizon, so I made a video on it because obviously I'm a tech YouTuber, and I wanted to recommend it. So I was like, hey, guys, I switched to this carrier. It's been working great. And then after I made that video, Mint reached out to me, and they were like, can we send you some stuff to thank you? And I went, sure. So thank you, Mint, for sending me this. Yes, I get to talk to Ryan Reynolds on a personal level every single day. That's one of the benefits. Do you put a case on your phone? I do not. There's no case on my 11 Pro Max, and it is fine. There's not much scratches or cracks of any kind, and I don't think I'll use a case on this. Or did they include a case with this phone? They used to include a case with some of the OnePlus phones. I don't think they do it on this one. I should probably just check through the paperwork to make sure. Maybe they give us something else. Come on, OnePlus. Look at this. This is ridiculous. Why are you printing things out? Why does the box have to be so tall? Just a quick start guide. It's just like instructions. Oh, I see this unfolds. All the different languages. Okay. Got it. What else? ISR value. Okay. Oh, they do send. Oh my God, they have a lot of stickers. Holy crap! Did you guys know this? Look at all these red bubbles look like iMessage, to be honest. These are all different stickers. You get Never Settle, OnePlus, big OnePlus badge, so smooth. The 8, just the number 8. My friends call me for tech support. It's like acknowledging that you're nerdy. Oh, here's the SIM eject tool. It's right here. I knew they would have one. I have a big collection of these things, actually. This looks like something you can peel. Whoa! Oh my God! What do they do? It's just a note from Pete. This is your OnePlus, a smartphone made hand in hand with our community. Okay, good for you guys. Look at all these stickers. Oh my God. What am I even going to put these on? I should put these on my iPad. Never Settle. I'll put that on the back of my iPad Pro. Yes, my hair is real. I wouldn't pay to get fake hair. Are you kidding? No way. Let's see. Would you rather 720p 120 hertz or OLED 1440p 60 hertz? I would rather have 720p 120 hertz. I notice refresh rate on a phone. I think 720p is fine. I don't really care that much about pixel density, but refresh rate is way more noticeable to me. Let's see. Would be fun if you did a video with you versus an Android fan. Would like to see your argument live. There's not much of an argument to be had. I mean, some of my best friends I've ever had are Android users, like my buddy Wyatt. He uses a Razer phone too. And I'm not really anti-Android. I'm pro people using what works best for them. And for a lot of people, iOS works best, and for a lot of people, Android works best. So it's not really a matter of iOS versus Android. I must win. But in the past, maybe I've been more like that. But Android has gotten a lot better. It's gained a lot of features, and it has a lot of benefits that I acknowledge. That's why I review them. Would be best to buy OnePlus 8 Pro or iPhone 11. At this point, 8 Pro is more recent, but also out of stock, so I don't even know where you're going to get an 8 Pro. But I've never used a Redmi phone, so I don't know if I like them. I'm guessing no. I'm guessing they're just kind of generic Android brand. Why did Mint send the phones to you for free? I don't know. I think they were happy that I recommended them in a video a long time ago. Do you own Apple stock? Yeah, a little bit. I'll continue to support OnePlus. They started the flagship killer trend, pushing companies to deliver something great for a reasonable price. I like that message. I like the way OnePlus has entered the market, especially with what they did last year. Their phones were incredibly cheap. This year, not so much. They're more in the flagship pricing, but still, for what you get out of them, the fact that OnePlus 8 Pro can do a lot of what the S20 can for less money, still impressive. T-Mobile announced partnership with RCS plus Google. What do you think about that? Will it help iOS? I don't know how. iOS users are all on iMessage anyway. Is the $1,500 MacBook Pro 13-inch a good buy? I don't know your use case. I don't know what you're going to use it for. It could be, but in my opinion, if you're getting a new MacBook Pro, I would recommend getting the one with 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports, just because having the extra I/O is so handy. But that's for my use case. I don't know what yours is. Could make sense. Would you rather iOS for Samsung or Android for iPhone? I prefer iOS to Android, so I guess I would rather have iOS on Android phones, but that would also be weird because when you don't have the company's software and hardware being designed together, you can result in a lot of miscommunications and glitches and bugs that way. How do 24 FPS videos get along with 90 Hz displays? I don't know. Maybe we should watch a John Morrison video on here. See what it looks like. John Morrison. Oh, I like it when you search John Morrison. It brings up the wrestler, not the tech review. Oh, how do you activate cursors? How do you do the cursor thing on... How do you do it on Android? Or is it different for OnePlus? Let's see. His last video was 3 weeks ago. Woo! John, where's your videos? Gotta try this out. iPhone SE 2020 versus OnePlus 8. Oh, come on. There's a huge price difference there. 400 versus 700. I mean, the iPhone SE is for people who like phones with home buttons and they don't care about the display. They just want a phone that works and they want it to get updates for a long, long time. That's what the iPhone SE is for. OnePlus 8 is for someone buying a phone that they're going to replace in 2 years and they want a really solid display. Let's see, why isn't it going full screen? Check it out. Ooh, I'm just now listening to the speakers.
What we saw with the 16-inch MacBook Pro last year, that then followed with the 2020 MacBook
Looks sound
Air,
pretty good.
And finally, we also had, so thankfully, no more crying in 128 gigabytes.
It looks fine.
The base model, which was 120 MacBook Pro. And
Okay, I'll turn it down.
The more storage,
it's a little tinny. The higher volumes. True, the iPhone SE does have an IP rating and wireless charging, so they got that. No, it looks fine. 24 FPS. It's compatible with 90 Hz. You don't need to worry about it. I'm just wondering why the auto lock is turned off by default. Let auto rotate, I mean. Let me rotate the phone. Why is that off? I'll have to sign in later. Let's see. Is your nose real? No, I don't actually have a nose. This is CG animated on top of me. Have you ever heard of Visible Phone Service? I have not, but thank you for the super chat. Once again, asking everyone to not ask your question on repeat. What is your favorite piece of tech you've ever gotten? iPad Pro 2018, by far. Still love using it, daily basis, and it's coming up on 2 years old, and it's still unmatched by competitors. Love that thing. Does your opinion on iOS versus Android change when the ecosystem argument is not taken into consideration? It still comes down to personal preference at that point, but that's the problem. The ecosystem has to be taken into consideration because at the end of the day, if you just compare iOS to Android, there's no great reason to go with either. There's not a great motivation. Just, you can customize your home screen a little bit. And with iOS, it's like, okay, you get more software updates that'll give you dark mode. And at the end of the day, they're just going to be phones that you watch videos on and browse Twitter with and watch YouTube with. It's not like big night and day things that give Android significant advantages over iOS. So the way all of our technology communicates with each other, that is pretty impactful because if laptops, tablets, watches, and desktops didn't exist, sure, we would have that discussion. But the problem is they do exist. We do use laptops, we do use tablets, we do have watches, we do have desktops. So the way all of those devices interact with each other makes a big difference. So that's why Apple ecosystem, yeah, you have to take that into consideration. If you're just using a phone, there's no point in iOS versus Android. Just pick the one that looks better. Just make it. They'll both get the job done. Both iOS phones, iPhones and Androids will still take fine pictures. You can still find good deals and phones with good displays and reasonable prices and fast enough CPUs to do the basic stuff phones can do. But at the end of the day, the phone you're buying dictates what accessories are compatible with it, and that impacts your experience. My Apple Watch, my AirPods, my iPad, the AirDrop between all of my devices, that impacts my life a whole lot more than, being able to put apps at the bottom of the home screen. I feel like a lot of Android fans they just stare at their home screen all day. They're just looking at how they arrange their apps. It's like, I don't put that much effort into my home screen because it's just there to help me get to the apps I'm trying to use. It's not a portrait. It's not something I spend hours and hours of my day on. As long as the home screen helps me get to the apps I want to use, it works. Doesn't matter if the apps are at the bottom or the top or arranged in a certain way or have a certain font or not. At the end of the day, it's just nitpicky stuff. There are a lot of people with iPhones and no other Apple products. I know a lot of people with iPads and no other Apple products as well. Let's see. Do you think Apple needs to step up their cloud encryption and security? I don't know what else they could do. You got two-factor authentication, you got passwords, you got biometrics. What else do you want? Do you want three-factor authentication? What would you think if Lightning was used as much as USB? I mean, that would be better, but USB-C is still better than Lightning, so still, we got to go for that. Go for iPad Pro or wait for iPad Air 2020? I mean, if you can find an iPad Pro refurbished from Apple, buy it. I think that would still be better than an iPad Air 2020 because iPad Air is going to have a lot of dumbed down. The CPU won't be as good. The display won't be as good. Probably the speakers and the camera won't be as good. So the 2018 iPad Pro is still better than an iPad Air when that gets refreshed in 2020. So if you can find one for $550 or $600 refurbished, I would say get it. Should I buy OnePlus 7 Pro or newer OnePlus 8? They are near the same. Probably just get the newer one because you'll get more software updates. 7 Pro and OnePlus 8 are really close together. And I prefer the camera cutout to the pop-up camera. Pop-up camera's weird. I'm glad they kind of moved away from that. OnePlus has kind of tried everything, haven't they? They just had bezels, and then they were like, we're going to have a notch, but it's going to be a really thin and sleek and clean-looking notch. It's like the best-looking notch out there was on a OnePlus phone, in my opinion. And then after that, they were like, pop-up camera. Now there's no notch. Ha, got that? No camera holes, no nothing. And then they were like, okay, never mind, camera hole. So now it's not a notch, but you still got a little punch hole in the top corner of the screen. It's like they've tried everything now. The next thing OnePlus can try is a transparent display where the camera just sits beneath the display and it goes opaque. Let's see. Do you really think Touch ID will make a comeback? I don't. Have I ever said that? There have been people claiming that iPhones will get Touch ID built into the display since before the iPhone 10 even came out. And there were so many leakers, so many rumors claiming it was going to happen, and it didn't, which is why I'm going to be forever and permanently skeptical of anyone who ever claims there's going to be Touch ID in the display. Because there were patents for it way back in 2016. There were patents for it. And they were like, oh, it's going to happen 2017, and then it didn't. And they were like, okay, well, they reserved it for the 2018 model, so 2018 iPhones, they'll have Touch ID. Nope. 2019, okay, they'll have it in 2019. Nope. And now there's a few people saying they're like, one iPhone in 2020 might have it, and I'm sure it won't happen again. So I think it's just one of those things Apple has a prototype for. There's a patent for it, yes, but most Apple patents don't make it into actual products. I think Apple would rather just put all of their energy and efforts towards Face ID. I personally am fine with that because I think Face ID works better. You don't have to touch your phone in a specific way. You just look at it and it unlocks. And the pandemic is a temporary thing. It's not. We're not going to be wearing masks for the rest of our lives. Maybe someone does, but again, if you feel like your messages or your questions aren't getting answered, check us out on Twitch because we do more live streams over there. There's less people. It's not as crowded. So if you want your question to be answered, that's the better way to do it. But yes, the moderators will ban people or time people out if you're just spamming the same message over and over and over again. If the iPhone is not going to adopt USB-C, Apple should at least increase the data transfer speed of Lightning on the iPhone. Right now, all iPhones are limited to USB 2.0 data transfer speed. Angelo, I think that's because we all know Apple wants to get more towards wireless. They would rather figure out ways of making wireless data transfer faster than it is currently. Similar to how Apple removed the headphone jack and they want to push a wireless industry, that's probably what they want to do with the iPhone ports. But Bane cannot use Face ID, you're right, but he's also dead. Spoiler! Anyway, thank you all for watching. Appreciate the Twitch Primes. Again, please check us out on Twitch. I'll be doing a Talos of Gaming stream today, so stay tuned for that. And thank you all for watching. I'll be doing a OnePlus 8 Pro impressions video probably tomorrow, something like that. And I'm on Discord. You know where to find me. Take care, guys. Have a good day.